One of the major issues that every school of philosophy has to address is the problem of evil. And this is especially true for Christianity, which claims that God is good. And if God is good, then how can there be suffering in the world? How are these two ideas compatible? It's a complicated question, and there's one, to be quite honest, I don't think there's a great answer for. It's really difficult. But Christians have typically taken a couple of different approaches. On the one hand, we could think of a philosopher like Alvin Plantinga, who argues that really what we need to think about is the moral importance of free will. That free will is critically important to our lives. And so if God is good, he has to create the best world possible, and the best world possible would include free will. This is how his argument goes. So then, if humans abuse that free will, right, if humans abuse it and do evil and cause suffering, then God is not responsible for human suffering in that regard. Now, you don't have to agree with Plantinga, but it is one approach, and it does have some explanatory power. A second approach doesn't try to absolve God of guilt for suffering. Instead, it says, actually, what we have is a reality of suffering. It just exists. People do suffer. But what we find in the Bible is a God who is not indifferent to that suffering. And instead, the incarnation proves to us that God actually becomes human and suffers with us, right? With Jesus being the incarnate God actually means that God also suffers. So this is how people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer or the scholar Jürgen Moltmann try to approach this question. Again, you don't have to find it particularly persuasive, but it is a really helpful approach, and it's good to know that Christians have typically tried to address these from a couple of different angles. The reality is that yes, Christians should continue to wrestle with suffering and the goodness of God. It's an important question to suffer with, not to struggle with, but we should also acknowledge that all schools of philosophical thought have to deal with this, because suffering is a reality, and we have to explain why it exists. And unfortunately, we may not be able to explain it in satisfactory ways.